Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. And today, we're going to celebrate a little Star Wars television ahead of the release of The Acolyte. The Acolyte begins this Wednesday, and we're going to anticipate it greatly by doing our top 10 Star Wars TV shows. Now, it's shocking that there's more than 10 at this point. You know, there's 13, I think. Which is insane, you know. There was a point when it was just Clone Wars and Rebels, you know. And here we are now with 13 television shows. And I'm so very excited to dig into it. We each got our own top 10. Mine, I'm Colton Robertson, and my friend over here, Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And I am so very excited to celebrate some Star Wars TV with you. How about you?
Yeah, have we ever actually officially ranked TV shows? I mean, up to this point, we've gotten more, but I don't know if we've ever.
No, we have not. We've never done this. This is, and you know, when it comes to the ranking stuff, and specifically within the realm of Star Wars, to hit a topic we haven't touched on is quite rare. So we've been doing this since September of 2020 is when we started talking Star Wars regularly. So, It's been almost 4 years.
Star Wars doesn't really leave the discussion. It's always there. But glad we're getting around to it finally, and we can. I don't know. It'll be nice to have this to look back on in the future as well, and be able to slot in shows that do come out.
Exactly. And, post-Acolyte here in about 8 weeks, we can go ahead and slot it on here, see where it falls. So I'm very excited. Are you ready to do our top 10 Star Wars TV shows of all time?
Oh, I am. And usually I like to go first in things like these, but I don't know if I want to. Like it's like I don't I don't like that pressure now to say.
No, I get you.
What the bottom show is going to be. That's that's a whole different feeling of what it sounds disrespectful, but no, I mean, be there,
when it comes to our top 10, I like all of these shows at minimum. There's not a single show in this top 10 that I don't like. I happily watched them. I happily took them in. Now there are others that I more happily absorb and that I revisit and that I love, and that's kind of what the bottom of my list represents, is the least revisitable, almost like the stuff I go back to the least. And I'd say there's one exception here. So yeah, it's hard to say one's at the bottom, but something's got to be there. And for me, that 10 spot happens to go to, and I group them together here, the Tales of shorts, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. I thoroughly enjoyed them. They've been a nice treat the last few years. I think we've gotten 2 on May the 4th in a row, I feel like. I think last year we got 1, and this year we got Tales of the Empire. It was so much fun. I appreciate them for just the quick little... Fuck yeah, this took me an hour and a half. I've watched 2 different stories. This is wonderful. So I dig those shorts. It's one of those things that I enjoy the Ahsoka one. That was definitely one of the and then the Dooku one, 2 of the highlights for me.
Well,
those are.
I'm glad that you've relieved a big stress off my shoulders, because I'm right there with you. I put them here as well, and it is just kind of exactly what you said. It's fuck yeah, I got them, but there's no real, I really, really want to revisit them for any reason, but they were quality. The animation's great, and yeah, you got Dooku, Yaddle, Ahsoka, a bunch of really cool young Qui-Gon, a lot of really, really cool times that we got to see, and I mean but it just kind of happens to fall at 10. So
yeah, no, and I think it's I don't like the thing that is impressive about it is the short story format. That's what makes it as good as it is too, but that's also what makes it fall down this list just a little bit, is that you watch it once or twice and you've got it. Like, you can't miss much in the short story format. It's literally the point for you to not miss much in the short story format. So I love them, but they fell at the bottom here, Jedi and Empire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something had to be there. Something had to be at the bottom, but that's the bar. That's like the lowest of the low. It can only go up from here, and that's just kind of a testament to how good Star Wars TV can be.
Or how
So
much I love Star Wars
yes,
TV.
that's true. That is true.
Important distinction.
These are favorites. Yeah, I guess
some of
these
these, even I, loving them, can recognize some of the faults they might have. For example, my 9 is the Clone Wars. I've never been as high on the Clone Wars as a lot of other people. I enjoy seasons. I enjoy specific arcs. I enjoy season 7. Season 7's undoubtedly one of the best Disney Plus era Star Wars seasons. You know, but the anthology format is something I don't favor versus in a narrative, like a continuous narrative. And I know that there's a narrative there. It's, you know, it's the Clone Wars. We know a starting point, we know an ending point because of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And I like the structure. I think it was a great idea. It kept Star Wars alive for years by itself. So like, I'll always be appreciative of it. And I love the way that show evolved over the course of the years. I love the fandom it cultivated. The way that, you know, without the fandom, they would not have they wouldn't have brought that back in 2020. You know, that was a fandom movement. That was a bring back, like Clone Wars season 7, bring it back. Let's do this thing. That wasn't because I mean, it ended after 5 seasons. The 6th season came out like a few years after that, and they were like, okay, well, that's it. And then it was 7 years after that Clone Wars season 7 came out.
That is crazy to always think of the real life timeline versus just in the, because it is just between Clone or Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and I never think of the actual that it did span quite a long time.
It did. It went for a while, but so. For all of that, I'll always be appreciative. I love that it gave us Ahsoka Tano, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. I adore her. I love that it gave us Captain Rex, and I love that it gave us, you know, a little bit more diving into with the clones, because that really affected another show that's a lot higher up on my list. So I appreciate it for so many reasons. But again, it's one of those ones where anytime I rewatch it, or I'm rewatching, I try to rewatch it from beginning to end. I feel like I'm forcing myself to do it. I have to pick specific arcs, and I have to watch specific, because the highest highs of Clone Wars are really, really fucking good. I just think the lowest lows of Clone Wars are more often than the highest highs. You know what I'm saying?
There's filler in a narrative show, but that filler's necessary. But then in Clone Wars, there's just legitimate filler just to fill, like, I mean, as filler can get. This isn't going to matter. Let's just check in on this random spot in the galaxy. And it's just, it's a different kind of show. And yeah,
No, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, ultimately it came down to anthology versus continuous narrative. It's kind of like, and while I do enjoy the anthology format, and I think that it has its place, if you've got a continuous narrative, I'm gonna go for the continuous narrative. It's just kind of how my brain is wired. So Clone Wars fell down to my 9 spot in my top 10 Star Wars television shows.
Okay, I have it a little bit higher, but not by much. But I'm taking my first live action show. It's happening now, which is kind of crazy. And I thought that my bottom like 3 were gonna be animated shows, but they're not. This is where I have at 9, the Book of Boba Fett. And when it was coming out, I loved it. I was riding it, you know, like a bantha. I loved Tamara Morrison and how like he loved the project, how he put in his own twist on things, and he loves that character. I just want Tamara Morrison in any form at all in Star Wars. Let the dude just go. There literally so many. He could be so many people, in different looks. I want him as a live action hunter. I want him as all of this. But the show that we got, I guess, I think everyone was expecting a little bit more from Book of Boba Fett. It wasn't quite the show that everyone was expecting, and I'm not like a in the mod hater group, of
Mm,
like just because they're in there that the show sucks. It's like, no, I thought it was actually pretty cool, and an homage to George Lucas for all the bikes and stuff they had. So like,
yeah.
like stuff in the show was really cool to give Boba, you know, just a life after being dropped in a Sarlacc pit. That's pretty cool. And yeah, the arc he went on was very interesting. He's a very changed man. But as far as just the live action shows go, for me, I don't know. It did the least,
Mm,
for me. So yeah, it just feels tough. It feels tough to put something down at 9. But yeah, I don't know. It just for me just didn't quite do it.
mm.
Um,
No,
but
I get it.
and I
I
don't
get
I
it.
don't really have much to revisit. Like there's not. I guess I don't really have the urge to watch Book of Boba again. But as far as the character goes and the performance of it, I do love Finnick. Yeah, was awesome. I wish we got a little more from her. Maybe a little more depth as possible with Finnick
Yeah.
there. But
A good example of one of those shows that I love that really could have been a lot better. It had it had fantastic episodes. I think the Book of Boba Fett episode 2 is like one of the best episodes of Star Wars TV we've ever gotten. It's the one where he goes on his little trip and, like they do the
mm,
dance at the end of the episode,
oh
the
yeah,
tribal dance and stuff like
oh yeah,
that's
that was
fucking
nice.
outstanding. Like, and I wish that side of the narrative had been most of what the show was.
Yeah, and we got like a Mando
Yeah, I'm
break.
like, it suffers from being Mando 2.5.
Yeah, so
Um,
that does it would have been really nice if we could have just focused on Boba.
yeah, in
Um,
terms of quality, in
hmm
terms of enjoyment,
True, it was nice to
those are
see.
fun episodes.
It
Like, I
was.
had a great time with it. So,
Hmm.
like, that's when it's like, those are the gray areas in Star Wars TV here, especially in that era of Star Wars TV, the post Episode 6
Hmm.
Mandoverse timeline. So I'm with you. It's also just a few spots. It's a few spots up for me. Not nothing crazy, but my 8 is going to be I had one anthology. I'm gonna go with the other. This is where I have Visions. I There are shorts in the Vision series that I adore with all my fucking heart, dude.
Hmm.
The Ronin is fucking awesome. I read the spin-off novel about him. It's super fucking good. Strongly recommend. Now that you're getting into Star Wars books, that might be one you want to check out,
Mm.
is the Ronin novelization.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but dude, I mean, like, the animation, I love this idea. I love shopping this out to all these different studios around the world and letting them run fucking wild with it. Like, do whatever you want to do. That is so fucking cool. And the fact that you can have a 15-minute short that by the end of it I'm crying, like, that's awesome. I It's kind of the pinnacle of what Star Wars can be, like, it is this worldwide, it is this all-encompassing, all love, world binding entity to me that's like good versus evil. Everyone can get behind that. Let everyone around the world tell the story. And I think Visions just, it's a fucking treat, and I can't wait for more. And I'm assuming we'll get more. It feels like one they never have to stop. They can kind of just keep doing this.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, I love Visions, and this is the one. This is where it starts to get into the, like, I revisit single episodes a
Hmm.
bit more once we get here, and there'll come a point when it's like, well, if I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But
I'm with
yeah,
you there.
like,
Yeah, I'm with you with it. There's only certain ones that really call to me to revisit with Visions, and it's not really the entire show, but
no,
that's kind of just the nature of many different studios doing it. And some are going to be good, some are going to resonate with you, and some aren't. And I think that's also the beauty of it, is maybe the episodes that resonate with us aren't the same that resonate with other people, and other people can find those episodes that we don't find as good, just as good as we find, like the Ronin,
Yeah, exactly.
and all that. So, but
Oh, dude, my favorite one is The Village Bride, the one with F. The music, the animation, it's fucking gorgeous. I love that episode. And then the season 2 premiere was utterly fantastic too. That was one of my favorite episodes as well. So like, there's a bunch of very specific ones that I'm like, I have just an extraordinary love for, and those are a few of them. But yeah, I love me some Vision, so it fell at 8.
okay, well, not too much higher. It'll come very soon. But for now, my 8, it's another live action. This is where I have Ahsoka here for me. And I think a lot of the Ahsoka show that I found good, or what kept me in, was a lot of like the theorizing, or what could this mean for like the bigger Star Wars universe sort of thing. And I like the stories they're telling. I like that anyone can become a Jedi now just with training. I like that they're kind of establishing these things, but like what's his name even? Whoever we all thought was Sam Witwer, and we all thought was gonna come out as
Marok.
Yeah, Marok. You know, just that it was cool, but then it's like, okay, we never. Yeah, I feel like there's just more explaining that needs to be done. I feel like there's just another season that a lot of these things will come to fruition. It's a lot of setup right now, is what it felt like, instead of just making a show to be good already. And like there's just the shot of Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra. Like, it's crazy. Like, I love that I can see the Rebels crew in live action, and like, oh my god, like that is crazy. But like whenever they're fighting that zombie horde of clones, and it's just like the 3 of them standing like just very blocked out, and like just swinging the camera's just very still. It's like, it's cool that I'm seeing all these people on screen at once, but the shot is so boring. Like, this is the most boring way that you could shoot this, and it didn't feel that they were trying to just make a good show in one season of a good show. It just kind of felt like there was a lot of setup. But I got Thrawn, Thrawn's introduction, that was pretty badass. Zombie clones, or zombies in general in the undead, that's insane. A lot of firsts happened in Ahsoka, but it felt more fan service heavy than just focusing on the show itself for me. So that's why it fell at 8. But I guess I did like a little more than Boba. I do find myself coming back to certain episodes of Ahsoka just for I don't know, for Thrawn, or for I really like the visuals of the world between worlds, and the whatever waypoint that's called on that planet, the red tree planet. Like, a lot of really cool visuals there. But yeah, that's at 8 for me is Ahsoka.
All right. I dig it. I got that just a couple spots up. I have it's grown on me the further removed we are from it. I think that's time has given it a chance to grow for me. But I'm going to go with my first live action show as well. And unfortunately, it's same as yours. Bottom of the live action for me is Book of Boba Fett, and it's because I think it just had a tough time deciding what it is. It didn't commit beyond filmmaking. Filmmaking is the only thing it committed to unabashedly, and that's something that I absolutely adored from this show, is that out of all the live action shows besides that one,
yeah,
it's my favorite to look at. Book of Boba Fett is gorgeous. It's inventively shot. Robert Rodriguez was a brilliant showrunner. He's a perfect director to take on Boba Fett, and I think that I loved the campiness and the over the top action and the the spins and shoots and the sticking the knee up and the like that's fucking awesome, dude. I love all that shit. I love the finale of that show. It's really fucking cool. I do like you said a little bit ago. I do think it suffers a bit from being Mando season 2.5. I do think that I'm of the mind Mandalorian should have ended after 2 seasons. I knew it wouldn't, but if you wanna make a show to be a good show, that show should have ended after 2 seasons. You know what I'm saying? Just narrative was complete. What we set out to do from the we'll get to that later. But it's the fact that the Book of Boba Fett ended up taking on the burden to continue that story when I don't think that story should have been continued, which is why it ultimately affects this show, which I don't want it to, because the stuff, and even the stuff that does deal with that is enjoyable. It's just that, the narrative around Boba Fett and this, benevolent crime boss thing that he's got going on is never dove into as much as you would like, because we're spending time focusing on that. He's a man of the people, and that's that's all, it's not like you don't see him do anything besides try to get the Pikes out of town, which is cool. That's fine. So all that to say that there's a lot to like here, but they never commit to any of it enough. And I think that ultimately is what affects it the most. That's one thing that you can say about Ahsoka versus this, is that Ahsoka knew what it was, and they went for that. As far as the narrative, that was the show, that was the story they were telling, and I feel like Book of Boba Fett suffered from being two halves of stories and just kind of throwing it in there. So,
yeah,
but I will emphasize, the filmmaking in Book of Boba Fett is, I would say, second best, third best from a few seasons of Star Wars television. So,
we got Boba riding a Rancor. We got Black Chrysanthemum in there. There's
Cad Bane.
The twin, Jabba's. I don't know how they're related. I guess I don't know if they're
the Hutts.
The Hutts. That's really cool. The Pikes. There were a lot. Of really cool
the
things.
Exploration of the Tusken Raiders is the most interesting part of that show for me. That is the stuff that made me go, this show's going to be special. And then that's what they commit to for a couple episodes, and then it falls by the wayside, and it's like, okay, fine. But I think that they didn't make Boba enough of an anti-hero for me, which is kind of what it felt like they were going to go for. He feels more just like a hero, which is fine. He's a good guy ultimately, and that's what you get from an anti-hero most of the time. But I feel like there's an edge that he still needs that he doesn't seem to have in the Book of Boba Fett, and that's not because of Tamara Morrison. Tamara Morrison's doing everything he can to give Boba an edge, but the writing just doesn't give him
not
much
written
more.
That way. Yeah,
it's I mean, when you look at how they announced Book of Boba Fett in the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, and
sitting on the throne,
coming up, shooting Bib Fortuna, he falls off the that was okay, fuck yeah. And then I feel like we never do anything that kind of gets back to that. And I one thing is that I think the show could have been longer. I think it could have benefited from being 10 episodes instead of 7. I think it would have given us time to deal more with the actual Boba Fett side of the story, because we deal with that for 4 episodes, and then 5 and 6 are a Mando duology, and then it's him coming up on episode 7 to help Boba Fett do his thing. So it's Boba Fett's not in almost half of his show, and that's not good, So yeah, I love Boba. I love the Book of Boba Fett. It's exciting. It had Thundercat. Fucking love Thundercat's music. He does the modding stuff to Fennec Shand and everything. So There's just all sorts of shit that, like, on paper, this show should have been the fucking best, and it just wasn't. So I agree. There was an expectation built up, and it didn't live up to it. But it's not because of anything beyond this guy and the corporate side of trying to make sure we can get Mando season 3 back with Din and Grogu, and that's how we're gonna do this. So, like, yeah,
shouldn't have happened in the middle of Book of Boba Fett. Like, if it's gonna happen, do it at the beginning of Mando season 3. And then have those 2 episodes for Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett. But I don't make the decisions. I don't decide where the money goes. But we got what we got, I guess.
even do like a fucking. And I'm not to say that this would have been, like, better or anything, but it wouldn't have affected the Boba Fett show. Like, 3 special episodes of The Mandalorian. Like, between season 2 and season 3. Like, this is, like, we do all this shit where it's like, well, this actually takes place between these 2 things. Why not fucking do that with the TV shows? Like, have some fun. I don't know. Fuck it.
Just drop it. Yeah, what? Just little.
It's not
arcs,
like they made profit off this
live-action
anyway.
arcs.
Yeah, like, you could even just cut it together, and it could have been like the first Disney Plus original movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that it would be nice to see some exploration and for them to change the game, but streaming is just weird with TV shows. Like,
no, it is.
Like, you drop it all at once? Do you do weekly? Do you do arcs?
That's one thing that I have been deeply appreciative of Lucasfilm and Disney for, is that the only stuff that gets dropped all at once is the shorts, which is, like that. True. I'm not going to watch shorts week to week. Like, shorts should be dropped all at once. That makes sense. But every single show they've done is week to week. And not only is that, I mean, it's a smart business decision, like, you don't want them to be able to buy 1 month of the subscription service, finish the show, and then cancel it. It makes sense. But it's just good for the show. It's good for the creatives who created the show and are, like, they spent so much time creating this thing. For it to be in the lexicon and out in a weekend is not cool. Like, it needs to stay in the limelight for several weeks, I think. And then it needs to stay on that streaming service after that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, another scary thought that all of this stuff could just go one day if they wanted to. It's not. It's
a terrible thought. Like, I hate that. I hate that that's a possibility, and a real possibility at that. Because the main one that I always come back to on Disney Plus is Willow.
It's happened. Yeah, it's not theoretical. It's Disney has shown us what they will do.
Not only that, Willow is Lucasfilm. It's not like it was just a Disney Plus original and that's all it was, and it's in association with, like, it was this realm where we get all our Star Wars stuff. It was like they axed that shit, and now you can't watch it anywhere unless you pirate the high seas of Video C. Like, that fucking sucks.
Scary.
So praying that never happens to any of my Star Wars TV shows. I'm praying that they bring Willow back in some capacity. Just put it back on the fucking streaming service or release it physically, something. Release it digitally. Make me able to buy the full season on Apple or something. Like, you can't even do that.
That's crazy. Yeah, just kind of lost to time.
Right now it's lost media.
But at least we got all the Star Wars stuff still. That is nice that we haven't lost any of those. Hopefully that day never comes. Yeah, hopefully we never have to talk about that.
That's a good example of something that I never want to happen to any of the things on this list. I never want that to happen to anything that gets made. It's just a principle thing. Like,
True.
if you spent the money to make it, you have to be willing to pay the people who made it for people watching it. That's just something because, God, I fucking hate Bob Iger. We can go ahead. We can move on. Book of Boba Fett at 7.
My 7. It has already been said. This is where I have visions, and kind of the same reasonings you had. I couldn't really elevate it too high. There are some episodes in which I really, really love, and that resonated pretty hard. And I'm like, like that, just like, holy shit, I'm watching, like, this is what Star Wars could be. Like if
Mm-hmm.
take any of one of these episodes and make a whole show on it now. Like it's crazy that you could turn these shorts into entire animated shows if you wanted. And some would do better than others. Some are very
Of
good for
course.
just that short and that's it. But there are some that leave you wanting more, which is
Mm-hmm.
really cool. And I love the idea of it too. And the fact that so many different mediums and so many different styles can just be thrown in and you're instantly like, yeah, this makes sense because it's Star Wars. Like it doesn't like there in season 2 one of my favorite episodes was the I don't know if she was I think she was blind. It was kind of an artist that the way she saw the universe was through like paint and like through color and then like whenever she was had dark side moments, it got all dark and black and chaotic, but
Mm-hmm.
then she became calm, figured it out and like could control all the paint and color, and that's a beautiful visual storytelling that you cannot do in live action. Like that it is
No.
perfect for the animated medium, and this it's what it allows. Visions is that perfect kind of experimental do whatever you want, like, and
Mm.
Star Wars is the perfect universe in which to do it because it's accepted. Like there's nothing in my brain that's like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense in my Star Wars universe. But
No.
every other style, it's like, yeah, I'm still in Star Wars. I see there are still some similarities that tie it to like Star Wars style, but even when it's great out there and it looks like the flushed away people or whatever, like it still kind of makes sense. It's like, yeah, I guess on
Aardman
one
Studios,
yeah, I guess like
baby.
on one
Yeah.
planet, fuck it, that it could exist like that. And it's like Star Wars has a multiverse without having to go into the multiverse
Mm-hmm.
explanation. It's just a galaxy far, far away, a bunch of different aliens and a bunch of different art styles. And I love that we can have all these different takes and different artists come in and give their take on Star Wars.
God, I
But
loved the Aardman episode. Well, it was about. I feel like it was about like. I'm trying to remember the name. For some reason, I want to say like "I love you, mom,"
I
because I
am
feel
your
like that's.
mother is
I am your
yeah.
mother. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
And
that's a fucking goodie, man. That's a special one. The pod racing and the all like just to. There's so many good episodes of that show. So like I love Visions, man. That's a
mm-hmm.
great time, man. So
Yeah.
no, I love that. So that was your 7.
Mm-hmm. That's
I'm
7.
gonna roll with you here. You're talking about how animation, you have so much more opportunity. You can do so much more with animation, and I'm gonna go with a show that I think should have been animated. Ahsoka.
Mm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka should have been animated. That's my principal take. I like live action. I like live action characters. I think it's a fun way to reinvigorate the franchise. But this is a show that could have deeply benefited from being an animated series. It just is, and I understand the business decision why it's not. Live action stuff's more popular, more people watch it. I get it, but this show was not as good as it possibly could have been because it was in live action. There's all sorts of stuff in this show that. I mean, you animate it, and it just works better. It does, like that specific shot you were talking about, and a lot of the action. Like it's one of my main gripes with the Ahsoka show is that the action's really clunky and doesn't flow as nicely as I would want it to. I mean, aside from Ahsoka, like they do a good job
Mm-hmm.
with
Ahsoka
Ahsoka.
versus Marok, like all of their fights,
All
like
that stuff's really
yeah,
cool.
Ahsoka does great.
Balin's really dope.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Shin,
that
yeah, Shin does well
Shin's
too.
yeah. But it was like there's a clip that I've returned to that pops up on my timeline every once in a while, and I feel bad because like I think it could be a narrative thing that's like well, she's not as good at it yet, yeah, but like some of Sabine's action is fucking horrid.
I mean, it does feel like they are trying to really hammer home that this is like the worst you could possibly be. Like
But
as
that's the
far
thing
as
is she
force
was a
sensitivity.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, like and weapons are her
Like
trade, and whenever she uses both, like her pistol and saber, like whenever she does start like kind of melding like the two, then it starts to click and she does start to do really cool things. But I guess
But we we've spent enough time on the stuff I don't. I'll talk about what I do love about that show. I think that the way it tried to expand the mythology of canon Star Wars was really awesome. I think that dealing with this grander other galaxy implication is super cool. It's another step in the right direction, a natural step. I feel like it feels like almost inevitable. It's like, yeah, like how do we expand this? This is a perfect way to, I
Unknown
absolutely
threats,
adore it.
you know.
I love Balin and Shin. I think that R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. It's such a sad loss, and it sucks to know that this show will continue without him. Because I mean, Balin will probably still be a character, just won't be played by Ray
Yeah,
Stevenson.
I hope they just continue it, and because there's obviously more story with him, like we're dealing with Mortis gods now, like, or maybe they're just myths or whatever, but like we've seen them in Clone Wars, like they are can't like it'd be nuts if like we get some. It feels like we're going in another like we could go anywhere, and that was the fun with Ahsoka is we're going to a new galaxy. We're seeing
It's
zombies.
big,
We're
man.
having
I love
new. Yeah.
I loved seeing Amon Esfandi fill the role of Ezra. I think that he does just pitch fucking perfect in that role. He's exactly what you want Ezra to be, and I can't wait for him to be back and be really back, like in the show and doing stuff. I'm very excited. We got live action Hera played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which is a big one for me. I love Hera Syndulla. And so that's one that I'll always be happy with.
Where was that hug? Why did they cut away in that reunion? Why?
They weren't filming in the same place at the same time.
The volume, the downfalls of blue screen or the volume.
Yeah, and scheduling and stuff. Like it's a lot of aspects. Like when it comes to stuff like that, it's almost certainly a scheduling thing. It's probably not like a practical in theory, they probably would have preferred production-wise to have them there together. It's not like it made it easier. But it was convenient for whatever schedule they had to work around. So like, and I mean like, I'm just assuming that because I don't know why the fuck you wouldn't do that. So like, I'm going with the best explanation I can come up with in my head is that they are not actually there.
That's how it was shot. Like they're looking not at each other. Like they're looking at.
Yeah, so that's just my that's where I'm at in my head, but it was nice regardless to see that. I loved Ezra and Sabine's reunion though. That was a good one. Ezra and Ahsoka's reunion was really cute. It was Rebels season 5 that they decided needed to be live action, and it could have just been Rebels season 5. It could have been. And probably should have been.
I like that take. I like that it should have been animated. It should have. Like the World Between Worlds doesn't really work in live action.
I'm like, it was still cool. It was cool, like, and they adapted it in a way that was like.
I guess we didn't even talk about Anakin.
Well,
Anakin's
Anakin.
Popping up, and it felt like it was just kind of forced. Like it's like we need something to give the people what they want. Let's have a prime Anakin fight Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds, and sure, it was cool.
Hayden Christensen's return was cool.
I liked it. It was badass.
There's a couple
the shots,
a couple here that are his return to Star Wars has been deeply invited for me. A long time coming, and I'm glad he's back in the mix. But but like Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Sabine was super good. I like Ray Stevenson there as Baylan Skoll, and I wish I could remember the name of the woman who plays Shin Hati. In fact, I'll look it up right now because she was kind of my new highlight. Like I want her in stuff. Ivana Sakno. She's awesome. I absolutely
I'll take
adore
her in anything else as well. Yeah. I like Shin took over the Star Wars world by storm. That's just by not even saying those eyes. I don't know. Those eyes were.
Let's make Wolf Ren happen. Season 2 of Ahsoka. Let's do this thing.
And I mean Sabine and her, are together now. They're in that other gal. Like, oh, it's crazy to think of how that show ended. We're in a different galaxy. Like they took off, um,
Mm-hmm.
and we're there. But yeah, Morgan Elsbeth. I guess we got like there's yeah. I mean, a lot of implication, a lot of connection that they're
lot of
doing.
cool moving
So
parts. Like
yeah, the Night
and
Sisters, all that. So
that's why, like, ultimately, I enjoy that show a great deal. I do agree the film, like, when it comes to, like, Book of Boba Fett, I thought it was intensely more innovative visually. I thought that, like, the
mhm.
storytelling visually and the just photography and editing was much more, like, I don't know, like, it was more suited to the Book of Boba Fett. Like, I wouldn't want this to be shot that way or anything like that, you know, like, but, like, just something a little bit more. What I mean, like, what is Ahsoka? She's fucking animated, you know. Like that's where my
The
head's at. I'm
stuff
like, I don't.
Ahsoka can do that we see in animation, like her fighting Maul in Clone Wars
That's
season
what she
7.
does. It's
Look at how epic that looks in animation, but you just can't
yeah,
do that in real life. Like you just I don't know. It's not the same. But but
yeah.
yeah,
No, so Ahsoka at 6. All that to say that I do love it. You know, that's one
we
of
love
those
all
things
these.
that like
Yeah, we're
that's
entering
my thing is that
good
like
numbers too. That's
yeah.
just right outside the top 5. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean that's and the bar at the lowest is already good. We love every single one.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. It is weird to rank these, and it's like picking favorite children. I don't know. It is like I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing this, but and I'm just supposed to love them all for what they are. But there's a conversation to be had. I think that there is
There is.
there is an order. There is a clear
Mm-hmm.
order for everyone. But okay, I guess if we're wrapped up there with Ahsoka, then I'll I couldn't take this one much higher than this, and Visions even almost beat it out. But 6 is where I have the Clone Wars,
Mm.
and for me, I think I do agree with you in that the anthology just format is what brings it down a notch compared to just a straight up narrative. I like a narrative. I I prefer to watch the arcs in Clone Wars. If I watch anything, I like to watch the single narratives within the show. So like and the anthology is cool. It's like a comfort show. If I need anything to throw on in the background and not really watch and just have on, Clone Wars is that perfect show. Because if I
Mm.
turn on Rebels, I'm going to want to watch it. I'm going to want to sit down and absorb everything. But Clone Wars is that nice, like, oh, look at this time in between the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith when they were, like it's cool. Grievous, a lot of his arcs were really cool. I liked. You got Dooku. You got all the just all the main hitters. Obi
All the
Wan,
prequel
Anakin.
players,
Yeah,
man.
like
Yeah.
come on, like
And a
and
couple newbies. You know, you get Savage
mhm.
Opress in there, and Asajj Ventress,
Yeah,
and you know all sorts of bounty hunters and Cad Bane and all this. Like it's cool. It's fun.
and that's what anthology can do that other narratives can't. It's you can envelop anyone in the next episode. Anyone can pop up, and that is really cool. So I gave it the bump above Visions because I do have more of a history with it, and it got me to fall in love with Star Wars in a different way. It was my first animated show that I watched, and it changed my outlook on Star Wars forever. I'm like, I didn't like because I was the same way. I'm like, it's for kids. That's a kids show. I kind of was in that camp, and then I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I'm a Star Wars fan. Why did I ever
Oh
just
wait,
not?
it's all for kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Um.
it's a nice realization whenever you watch those shows for the first time and you go, "Oh wait, this actually isn't
Oh.
much different than the fucking movies because it's not like they're cussing and having sex and you know, like it's not like they're doing that in the movies anyway. They are
Mm-hmm.
it's all story driven, it's all action driven, it's all fantasy driven and that's all of that is suitable for children. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's I dig it. I dig it greatly.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's nice to be able to go in these. We get a lot of knowledge just from Clone Wars. There's a lot of just stuff that filled in the gaps, and that's nice. I don't think it's necessary to be done, but they did it in a way that was good enough, and I think they're doing it a little. I don't want to say better, but they're at least picking really cool storylines to interconnect and to flesh out more now. I don't know if the connected universe makes it better or not, but at least the Clone Wars, it's very tied to that time period. It would be nice if we had an anthology show in which we could be in the High Republic, and then we're
Yeah,
in
just
sequel
Star
era,
Wars,
and then
the anthology would be very cool.
that'd be awesome. But it could only rise this high for me, Clone Wars, really, and a lot of it is the comfort. A lot of it is just it was my introduction to Star Wars animation, and it's my prequel boys, and I fell in love with Ahsoka like everybody did. I think it's
Prequel boys.
So
yeah, no, it's it's a good one, man. It is. It's just 6 and 9.
6
Nice.
and 9, the Clone Wars. Okay.
Gotta love it.
There we
Gotta
go.
love it. All right, let's talk top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for the top 5, baby. This is for all the marbles. When it comes to my top 5 Star Wars shows, we're getting special here. For one reason or another. And they only get more special the further up the list you go. I'm going to kick off my top 5 with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. We can talk it together then. I'm wondering how much we will line up here. But I'm glad. I'm glad that we did line up at least once.
It will not be the
on
last.
stuff.
It
I
won't.
guess
It won't.
we did 10 and 5. So
My money's on 4 and 1 also, by the way. But 2 and 3 just depends on the order for me in my head. But yeah, 5, Obi-Wan, man. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was one of those ones that it was such a pleasant surprise, first of all, that we were going to be getting that at all. I remember when that was announced and being like, holy shit, Ewan McGregor's back, Hayden Christensen's back, let's fucking do this thing. You're focused so hard on like, okay, well, how much does this deal with Obi-Wan on Tatooine? How is this going to affect Luke? How is this going to do that? And then they're like, psych, he's going on a mission to protect Leia. And I'm like, okay, this fucking rules. It was so much fun week to week watching Obi-Wan Kenobi unfold. I thought that Deborah Chow had such a personal vision for Obi-Wan Kenobi that reminded me more of Book of Boba Fett than it did Ahsoka. You know what I'm saying? As far as like creating a narrative and visual storytelling with that narrative, I feel like it fits really well with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there are issues I take with some of the visual aspects of the story, but beyond that, it's
like when he's on that planet with the spice, or like whenever he has to infiltrate, and go undercover with that gas mask and everything.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like it just the cities, like everything looked really good. The only thing that was the Fortress Inquisitorius. Was that the only thing people like complained about? That it was like, oh, why'd they tone that down a little bit? But other than that, I think
that was one of the main ones.
I think everything else looked great. Like Vader and Obi-Wan's whole sequence, like just the lighting of their sabers on their faces, like that's all we really needed. And that confrontation, is another one that we didn't even know existed, but we got now. And like the introduction of the path is really cool. Reva, a lot of people.
I was gonna say I love Reva.
Yeah.
I love Reva, and I love what Moses Ingram brought to that role, because she was so charismatic and seething with anger, and it was just so fascinating to watch her like fight herself over the course of that show, and like that it was so perfectly portrayed. And I love the culmination of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru being badasses, holding it down. Like, that's dope. There was just so much that was cool about it, like it gave us a lot of stuff we didn't know we wanted, and then it gave us a couple of those things that obviously we wanted. So it was super nice. I dug it.
And then the very end, here's your lessons on how to communicate with your master. I don't know. That's just really cool that, that's all that we need at the end. There's no. Is season 2 never gonna happen? Like they've said, it's done, or
it's a mini series? Yeah, it's a mini series.
Like it's I don't need it, but like that would be really cool just to have a Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson kind of. They're at the age. Liam Neeson's a Force ghost. He can be whatever age,
Hmm.
and that's cool. And Ewan McGregor kind of in that age of transition. I don't know, that Tatooine era, where he'd be learning. That'd be pretty cool. I don't need it, but I would love it.
I
Um,
would love it.
yeah,
Yes. No, I mean I love Ewan McGregor, man. So I'm a sucker for Obi-Wan the character, and we get till they build a bigger bum. That guy's the first Jedi that we meet that he's like protecting on Tatooine. I don't know if you remember that. The guy from Oppenheimer who plays Edward Teller.
really.
Yeah, that'd be a
Oh,
fun
okay.
revisit for you
Yeah.
if when you go back and watch
Huh.
Obi-Wan. It's yeah, till somebody builds a bigger bum,
I
that guy.
see.
But yeah, no, I loved the live action Inquisitors. I loved. I appreciated the live action Grand Inquisitor. I thought his design was well thought out. He's played by Rupert Friend, who we've come to love here, because of Asteroid City and the Swan
Man.
and
Yeah,
um,
it is just a very weird. How do you transfer that character over to live action? You.
in a feasible way where they can perform action and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we've seen Powens in live action before in Revenge of the Sith, where they had those tall ass heads, and he was talking to him, and he's like,
The
"They're up the
teeth
nasty
were,
teeth."
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's a great design, but you couldn't do shit in that costume. Like you had to do exactly what that guy did in that costume. So like that's why I've never taken issue with the Grand Inquisitor's design beyond maybe some of the streaks and stuff on his face, like the red could have been more prominent or something. But beyond that, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the that's it was. I think we like the top five. It is a different tier here. Like this
Yeah.
is. I'm beginning to really like these shows now, and
I mean, this one gave us O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Indira Varma, and that Path storyline.
Holster, like
Dude,
and everything
yes.
like that. Yeah, like that's pretty cool. Like a lot of just really really little Leia. I mean, that's the heart. Like
Mm.
that ended up being the heart of the show. And that's
And it was
gonna work.
one of those things where I came into it expecting a sequel to Revenge of the Sith, and what I ended up feeling like I really got was a prequel to A New Hope, and I was like, oh yeah, this fucking rips. Like I was like, this is
Yeah.
even better. Like it was simultaneous. Like at the time, expectations were sky high. So at the time, it probably wasn't. Oh, this is even better than I could have thought. But they went in a direction that wasn't obvious, and I feel like it deserves credit for that.
Yeah.
So I loved me some Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it had to break the top 5 for me.
You are what you made me. Like just that confrontation is. I don't know. I will.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, like the back and forth of it. Like I am not your failure. It starts out with the blue, and it seems that it's Anakin talking, and then switches over to Vader, and yeah, well done. I didn't give it enough credit whenever I first watched it, but upon rewatches, it's only gotten better and better.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I think it's about as high as it can go, though.
Yeah.
It
The top 4 for me are the top 4, even despite a lackluster last season from my number 4, The Mandalorian.
yeah. We do line up. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Again, and this makes sense. This kind of just feels like the natural progression from Obi-Wan, Mandalorian. These first 2 seasons, we had the time of our life. I mean, it was live action Star Wars.
Otherworldly.
Like, I mean, it
yes.
was different. It was badass. Din was just the guy. Like, everyone wanted to be Mando. And Grogu just happened to be the cutest motherfucker to tag along with him. And it was just great. It was this grussled, the classic trope you like of the kind of older grussled guy that gets very humbled by this cute little, thing that he's supposed to just deliver to the client, and
I want to see the baby.
yeah, who wouldn't want to see it? Oh, he's sleeping. Oh, we'll be quiet, or like whatever. Like, we'll be very quiet.
I will not wake him. Yeah, no, Werner Herzog. I can't do a Werner Herzog impression for shit because he's just got such a specific voice. But
the baby is pretty good. You do
I
the
want
baby.
to see the baby.
You do that pretty
no,
good.
He's got the breathy but still like gruff thing
Mm-hmm.
going on. It's fascinating. I love that guy's voice. But it gave us Grief Karga here. Loved Grief
Mm.
Karga's introduction. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. There, I just one of those.
That's high magistrate. Grief
Yes, High
Karga to you,
Magistrate
you
Grief
know.
Karga.
Yeah.
I mean, the Armorer, and I mean Bo-Katan getting back on, like even season 3. While I have my qualms with it, like there are still some super awesome events in it. Like it's the literal things that happen in season 3 are cool. I just think that amongst the live action shows here, season 3 is the worst filmmaking wise, and I have no doubt about that. It is ugly. It is ugly.
They
and
really
there
fumbled
are
the bag. Like
there are good looking episodes. It has its moments.
Bo-Katan's Darksaber Ray's moment, you know? They could not have done that worse. I don't know of a worse way you could have filmed that. Like it just was not the moment you think that Bo-Katan is going to take the Darksaber for herself. And it really also felt like there was supposed to be a whole other third person there. Like the blocking of it, like was Bo and then Din to the side and then just blank space on the right. And it would have been cool. I don't know if the planet just had a cooler background or something going on other than a flat horizon. And like, so, well, I guess that's season 3. But like, the reason Mando's up here at 4 is like
seasons 1 and 2. I mean, season 1 particularly is a gorgeous piece of filmmaking. I mean, obviously early on, and for I think half the episodes in season 1 were photographed by Greg Fraser, who photographed Dune and Dune 2.
Yeah, and new use of the volume too,
and the Batman.
Yeah, good use of the volume. This was like what it's meant for, and like whenever you see like the reflections off of Din's armor, it's because they
seamless,
have the volume there. And like I remember when like it's early on, he's walking into the desert and there's guys that jump above him, like over a canyon above him, and you see the reflections of them in his helmet. And it's just like that. I don't know if that's because of the volume, but it's just I remember that show being visually like holy crap. Like I expected live action Star Wars to be pretty cool, like a Star Wars TV show to be cool. I didn't expect it to be like kind of HBO level quality, like whenever I'm watching. So yeah, those first 2 seasons. I mean, that season 2 finale was just
floored me, man. I remember watching it for the first time vividly, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm of the mind, regardless of how good season 3 could have been, I don't think there should have been a third season. It's not because I think the third season wasn't very good. It's because I think that season 2's finale is the finale of that show.
Of the Mandalorian. Then it needed to transfer to Mandalore. Just any Mandalorian, you know, not Din. Like if season 3 was just a greater scope, but just how the Mandalorians are functioning, I think like it would just cap off Din's story the way it should have been, and if he needed to come back as this epic space cowboy, he could do it.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that even where season 3 ends, I'd love if that was it. You know what I'm saying? I'd love if that was it, but it's not going to be. And this is where the cross section of entertainment and capitalism really just thrives. It's just like, what if we ran this show for as long as we can?
Grogu is just Grogu being there makes it certain that they will make that for as long. Grogu's gonna stay around forever. Like that dude is going nowhere. I'm surprised.
Well, and now Pedro Pascal's never even on set.
That's so sad. That's just like it's just gonna feel like different. I don't know. Like just that is known in my head. It like even though I knew in seasons 1 and 2 that some of the stuff was obviously a stunt guy and that wasn't Pedro Pascal in there, it still felt like it was. Because it could have been. But like now I know it's not really a possibility unless he has to take his helmet off, in which it doesn't look like he's gonna do again. And like it's kind of a decision that we kind of wanted him to go down the other way. And
it's like if you were going to continue the show, it should have been overcoming that religious trauma instead of, them being like, actually, we're just going to change the story to being about how all religions need to come together and there needs to be peace amongst different factions. Not,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, that's the thing is that, like, the thing is that people were like, I remember the reception to season 3 when everyone was like, I thought for sure he was going to overcome this religious trauma from this cult, and like there were a lot of people who were like, everybody's really telling on themselves for thinking that like the religion was a cult, and it's like, well, that's how they portrayed it in the first 2 seasons.
The armorer is like clearly
That,
the cult
and in
leader.
season 3 they do that, they do that less. They certainly do. Like season 3 is much more like this is just another religious faction. So like it's just one of those things where like you obviously, like, anybody who had that sort of take where it's like, I'm like, that's bad faith.
The
like,
show is
you
doing
had to
that.
have, the
Like-
show did that. It wasn't like we were like, oh, well, that's disturbing. Like, no, like they portrayed it as something he needed to overcome, and then they decided it's not something he needs to overcome. Actually, it's something he needs to embrace. And that's, again, that's fine, but if you're going to trap yourself by making another season of the show, make sure your lead actor wants to do it, A.
Yeah, that sounds pretty important. Yeah, like,
because, I mean, that's the thing is that, like, it's not like Pedro Pascal isn't able to. He doesn't want to fucking do it. Like, that's the thing is, and he's perfectly cool cashing a massive check for voice acting.
mm-hmm.
That's fine. Like, and I don't know. It's just that, like, after season 2, the show should have been fucking over, and he could have popped up in all these different spots. But
it was beautiful,
it was wonderful.
Like
a beautiful way to end that show.
And like Moff Gideon, a great villain, that in season 3 saw a crazy rise, and then just all of those all of those dark troopers or clones, whatever the fuck, gone with the push of a button. He just dies.
I'm like, what even is season 4 of this show?
They already took back Mandalore.
Gideon's seemingly dead. I suppose that, like, maybe that was a clone. Maybe that's like maybe that would be like what they have to do. But like, how do you even get another season out of this thing? That's where and I know there's like creative new direction. Like we're gonna, and hopefully that new direction is the right direction. I'm excited. I'll watch it. I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm gonna skip season 4. Because apparently season 4 leads into the movie.
Like, I'm going to watch it no matter what.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's whatever they put out. But
at least in the hopes that they get the magic back. You know what I'm saying? Like, because season 3, it was just kind of a slow descent into realizing they don't. And there were again, there were standouts, there were moments, there was, Paz Vizsla's death was a cool fucking, like the betrayal and the pirate ship on Mandalore, stuff that happened on Mandalore was pretty cool, and it looked pretty good. That episode where Bo-Katan gets the Darksaber back. Anything that happens outside of the city looks like shit, but then you go into the city and it looked fucking gorgeous, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, that
here?
oneer, or no, maybe that was Book of Boba Fett. Actually, I'm thinking about that. I felt like there was a oneer shot of like up an elevator. Din walks out, sits at like a table. It goes.
That's
all
Book
the
of
way
Boba Fett.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That planet, the Jack Black and Lizzo planet, kind of gave me that vibe for some reason. The inside, but not quite. Different episode or different shows there entirely, but. Man, I mean, we all it is really just season 2, and then it changes. The show changes, but those 2 seasons are good enough to like solidify Mando at 4. Like that's it is just that good. And I remember like all the theorizing people were doing, like who's going to show up. We're like, Luke was, I feel like, in the conversation, but it was too like legendary and too
Yeah,
like obvious for people to be like, oh, it's gonna be Luke. So like it was kind of just like it can't be Luke, you know. It
well,
has
and then
to be
there was the
someone
other
else.
thing is
And
that was the first time they did something like that. Now it's become a little bit more like expected that they will do some deep fake shit over an actor's face. And at the time, the season 2 finale was very cool. Now it looks like it was a fucking
yeah,
moment that changed the course of how we're going to do legacy characters, and it fucking sucks. Like, I would have rather them just had a fucking actor play Luke. I don't mind it. It was cool.
Yeah.
And like at the time, it was even fucking cooler.
For
but
that moment, it
the
works.
after effects have made
Yeah.
me go like, Jesus, I wish there had just been a fucking actor
the
who played Luke.
training with Grogu, whenever Luke has to just speak, that's when it's bad. If it's like, and you can either go all in or not. Like you either have to just have a new actor or you have to go all in on AI and you have to do it the whole time. And it's like, it feels like it just shouldn't have been done. There's that guy looks so much like Luke already. The guy that they're putting the face on,
He
like
looked
on top
exactly like him.
like we know who the fuck that is, you know? Like it's clear. There's no debate on who it is. If you change the face, people are going to be like, "Oh, well that must be someone that looks just like Luke, but it can't
and
quite be."
It's all because they thought the reason Solo failed was because it wasn't Harrison Ford. Like, no, fuck off. Sorry. Yeah,
But true,
it's
though. But true.
yeah, that's what
So,
happened, you know? Like they were like, "Oh, well, we can't quote unquote fuck up a legacy character again." You know, like Solo is getting people fucking love Solo now. It's not like the thing is it came out 6 months after The Last Jedi, 5 months after The Last Jedi.
As a Star Wars fan, I barely knew of it coming out. Like
it didn't have a trailer until a month before.
that's ridiculous.
They
Like,
marketed it like fucking shit.
it's like on purpose. They had to have a reason to do this AI thing, you know. It's like they almost it's like,
I don't know, man. Like,
but
regardless, like, so all that to say, I really enjoyed The Mandalorian for the first couple seasons, and even the season 2 finale, which made me like deeply emotional, like overwhelmingly.
you see the
so,
reaction
like,
videos across the internet of people just breaking down in tears during this moment.
Yeah.
You know, like I think the world collectively, whenever we were watching this, we're like, oh my god, we all are crying together. That's 100%. You know, like this is happening.
What the soft music starts and he takes off the helmet and it's just like, oh, dude, I love it. And that shot of them getting on the elevator and going should have been it. It should have been.
I don't know how many texts I got of like, have you finished yet? Like, did you finish the episode? Like, can we talk? Could we talk about it? Like, from my uncle, from all my cousins, from like just everybody being like, holy crap! Like, what a so yeah, that's first live action. It had to be there. The first 2 seasons are that good.
Oh, and it started like weeks before The Rise of Skywalker came out, and
Grogu
the hype
healing for the first time, and then Rey doing it or like I think it was literally like the same week. Like that episode
it was the same week.
And
the
then
Wednesday
boom.
that the Mandalorian's episode where Grogu heals Grief Karga came out was the Wednesday before
that was
The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, it
came
was
out.
just so cool. Like that's little details like that. That's the connected universe. That's how it should be connected. Like it's not the same storyline, but like around the same time we're learning about these new things across the timeline. That could, I don't know, that was a really cool connection, and like just felt really like it made you, I don't know, more in the moment. Like it was like, holy, like I'm in love with Star Wars right now. Like when the first 2 seasons were coming out. So yeah, it had to be up
I
here.
think that speaks volumes about like the effect of, I mean, something that made Star Wars so special, and I'll always love Star Wars, but something that did make Star Wars special for a really long time was its scarcity. Was the fact that we didn't know when we were going to get something new. If there was something new, it was like, thank God, awesome. You know, love that, finally. You know, like that was kind of how, and And while I appreciate that there's never more than a couple months that I have to wait for something new, I would like to miss it.
Yeah, the expectation is like, what part of the timeline are they going to cover next? Not, are we going to get anything? Like, that should kind of be the you should be wanting to have more. But now it's like not oversaturated yet, but getting there. Like it's.
I mean, it's getting there for sure. I mean, The Mandalorian, which started 5 years ago, was the 4th Star Wars television show. Clone Wars, Rebels, and Resistance had existed.
Wow, yeah.
Mandalorian was the 4th. We're making a top 10 here, and there's 13 options.
Yeah.
There's been 10 shows in the last 5 years. And now there's been no movies. I appreciate the scarcity of the movies still. Now, it's not because they want it to be that way. It's because they can't for the life of them figure out how. For some reason, every project gets stalled in production, and they're like, well, never mind. We're not going to make this happen.
I don't know what the answer is. Like, it's like you either have to go full balls to the wall, make another trilogy, and if they go another trilogy, there's no way they're going to do the same mistake they did last time, and they're going to make it try to have one person, I'd say, take it. Like, if they're doing a trilogy. But it
that's the
seem
thing,
that
though, is that
route.
was the plan. That was the plan with J.J. Abrams, and then J.J. Abrams got fired off The Force Awakens, so they went and grabbed Rian Johnson, and when Rian Johnson's got even more hate by the fans, they were like, bring J.J. Abrams back. Fuck. So, it's just, it's a corporate thing. It's not a creative thing. Creatively, they've never, I don't think they've ever been boxed in. I think they've always managed to make something new and fresh while maintaining the spirit of old within Star Wars, and I've always appreciated that, specifically about Dave Filoni. He was God for a while, and now he's catching a lot of shit because he does a lot of the same stuff. It's kind of, he's got his lane, and you know what to expect. But yeah, I just don't want them to feel like Star Wars was the most important and biggest movie franchise of all time, and probably still is. The Avengers probably shook that up, of course, but as far as time spanning and spirit and all of that, Star Wars will outlive Marvel even. And part of the reason for that was stuff like The Mandalorian, and it was like, oh shit. It's brand new. It's something we've never seen before. Let's fucking do this thing. And, it was post episode 6. It was in that gap between 6 and 7. It was like, we've never gotten anything there before. Let's do this thing. So they were like, well, let's throw more shit in that gap. Let's go and throw more shit in the gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Let's go. And it's just kind of like, some of it pays off big, some of it does pay off big. A few of all 3 of my top 3 take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Some of that stuff, it works. It works a lot of the time. It's just that, open it up, do a little bit more. Do something. Make another Star Wars trilogy. Fucking get out of here.
Near.
Do something. Yeah.
Nowhere near.
You made The Rise of Skywalker the end of the Skywalker saga. That was not a plan either. It wasn't a plan to make the sequels a trilogy until the 8th one was ill received.
Wow.
They were like, the next one's it. Fuck. That was kind of how it happened. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just like, I've always thought it's the corporate side of things, not the creative side of things. The creative side of things has always been strong. Mm-hmm. It's just that they're told, do this here, do this then, this time, this place. It's like, go ahead and fucking... Yeah. And we do have stuff like that in the works. We're going post episode 9. We're going The Acolyte here soon, this week, Mm-hmm. So, I'm excited. We're finally entering a place where I feel like we might be doing it. We might be
swinging
going places.
the pendulum in the right
Yeah,
direction now.
James
you know, I
Mangold
think.
and Beau Willimon are going to make the Dawn of the Jedi film, and Beau Willimon wrote the Narkina 5 arc, and James Mangold
Yeah.
directed Logan. And it's like
Andor
that's going to be
season
25,000 years ago. You know,
I'm not expecting Andor season 2 to be Andor season 1, but it can't be bad. You know,
Yeah.
like it's not going to be Mando season 3. I can pretty much guarantee that. So I mean, I'm thinking I'm a lot more optimistic. That's for sure with Star Wars future now that they're like. I think they recognized, like they're like, all right, scratch everything. We're actually not going in the right direction. We need to change shit.
That was one thing that I've really appreciated was that like I put Ahsoka at 6 here, and I liked Ahsoka, but that being the immediate follow-up to The Mandalorian Season 3 wasn't the strong follow-up that they needed after Mandalorian Season 3. It was solid. It was fine. But it wasn't a big step in a direction that we needed this to go, you know? Like, after Andor Season 2, I don't think we got anything till Mando Season 3, besides, like, maybe a short or two, you know?
Yeah,
and Mando
Visions,
Season 3 and the
yeah,
Bad
Tales.
Batch. Mando Season 3 and Bad Batch Season 2 happened at the same time. And Bad Batch is always good. Love Bad Batch. R.I.P. R.I.P. Bad Batch.
I know, man.
But the show, not the crew. So it's just one of those things where, you know, there was a point within the last year and a half where we had 2 Star Wars shows happening at the same time.
Dang.
I can't have that again. I liked it. I had fun. Don't do that again. Please. I like one. I like being
It was a lot. Too much.
It was.
Yeah, and to also cover both of them too in the same.
Yeah.
Like it was. Yeah, it's like it's a lot.
Well, that's up to us. I can't put that on them. But you know, like the oversaturation thing, I think it's real. You know, like, and I don't think it's a problem. I don't think there. I mean, like, I think there is a problem there, but I don't think it's like a fatigue thing. It's just it's a classic thing. You know, like the more you see of something, the more you can grow to resent it. The more you can grow like. There's almost no upside to releasing that much stuff that fast besides money.
Yeah, and that's a lot. That is a lot of their motivations, and it's very clear. But at least when the creatives get to work, like even the people that hate the sequels, you can't deny, like in the movie, they've done some pretty cool shit. Like what they had to work with, like it was.
Well, and it's always so mind blowing to watch those movies. And, like, I love them. So, like, I get critiques, though. Like, I love them, but I do recognize their flaws. But, like, have we gotten anything with the level of visual effects that those movies have in years?
Other than Andor.
I'm not talking about Star Wars.
Oh.
I'm talking about fucking anything. Like, you know, like The Creator, Godzilla -1. We get stuff like that every once in a while. Maybe a couple times a year. But, like, when you think about how outlandish and insane some of the visuals you're supposed to have in a Star Wars movie, like, the ships are fucking real. You know, like, you're not even...
That's true.
That's not even a question when you're watching them. So, like, that's one of those things where, like, there are things about those movies that are the highest order of quality. You can't get better than this. You know, like, and that's one of those sides for me. And it's just so fascinating to think that, like, I feel like we take that for granted sometimes, you know, like some of the best things in Star Wars, and that's something that the movies have never missed on. So, but Mando for the first couple seasons too didn't miss on that shit either. The volume was a game changer. So, Mando at 4, we can move on. It's fine. That can be the end of that.
Oh no, this is when it gets really, really hard. This is the hardest decision of the entire thing.
Yeah, we're on to 3. Do you want to take the honors? Do you want to do? I can. That's no big deal. I don't mind. I've got mine, and I stuck with it. It was difficult, and I still feel like they're 2A, 2B. They're on the same level for me. I just had to put one over the other for the sake of this, and I decided to side with long-term loyalty, And
Hmm.
3 is the Bad Batch for me. Um,
Okay.
I love the Bad Batch. It's it was always so special to me. Like we finished covering it about a month ago, and it was we'd covered that since day one. We'd covered that since May 5th, 2021. It started May 4th, 2021. Like we've been there ever since that show came out,
Mm-hmm.
and we've covered every single episode, and they were all so deeply special to me. And the course of that story unfolding, and Omega will always be one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. Um, just an exquisitely well done, well crafted, well written, well animated, well scored, well everything show. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Bad Batch, and unfortunately, my long term loyalty lied somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, it makes sense. It does make sense. But it is like you said. It is kind of just to A to B. It's kind
yeah,
of how I'm feeling on the day, sort of thing. Um, but no, the Bad Batch is yeah. We've covered every episode. We have like a deepened relationship with the Bad
hmm
Batch that is, and the other shows we don't you don't need to cover them as they're coming out to attach a relationship
no,
to
no,
or anything. But it
yeah. I
is.
mean, I watched Rebels almost 2 years before I ever watched an episode of the Bad Batch. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, I went from um, Clone Wars to Rebels. I think straight. I think it was just kind of
yeah, me
I
too.
have to go, and then
And me saying me too should speak volumes about how I feel about the Clone Wars whenever it's ninth here. Um,
mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess I didn't put it down as low. I got it sixth. But definitely there is a large gap between those two shows.
yeah,
Three shows, the three
yeah. I
animated
mean,
shows.
like
Like
I
yeah,
would go 1A, 1B, animation, Rebels, and Bad Batch. Gap
yeah,
3, the Clone Wars.
quite the gap. But the batch, I mean, I never knew I could love clones so much. Like Rex has always been kind of cool to me, but I've never had the love that a lot of other people have had. I don't know why. I've always seen him as cool, and he's always been down to ride, and he's with our crew a lot. But I feel like people just have a lot more love for Rex. Um, and I guess Clone Wars season 7, like a lot of the end times
I
does that.
mean,
But
Rex was Rex was in the Clone Wars from like the jump.
yeah,
Like
he was
he
number
was in the
one.
Clone Wars
I
movie,
don't
so
know,
like
but
he's.
like I guess I don't know. I
But
guess he's
that's the
a
thing is that
character
like
that I never quite attached to. But the Batch, almost all of them immediately, like all of them were instantly like I love all of them. Like this is a I think it's just the found family aspect of it too, which is it just they're literally family, I guess.
yeah.
Like the same batch of clones, but like I thought just what an interesting way to throw these I don't know, just crazy different people in one group, and they work together so well.
Yeah,
And
they're the misfits. They're the round pegs and square holes.
hmm
Like I love it. I love it. But yeah, so I have the Bad Batch at 3. Holds a dear place in my heart. Um, I'll forever adore that show. So, Bad Batch at 3.
and I was going back and forth, and for me, I ended up going the other route. I did arrive that I do like the batch a little more. If it wasn't clear, the two shows we're talking about, the other Rebels will be my three, and it's hard. It's like it's even hard saying it out loud right now, to say it's three. But um, maybe it is a little bit of recency bias. I don't know. It is the one I am more fresh off the batch. I am mourning it still a little bit. Tech is still in my heart. I will never let that man go. But Rebels, that's where I am now. So I'll focus on Rebels. Um, Another, just like I said about the batch, a crazy group of characters. Rebels, we have this even better found family, and every character has such deep dives into them, into their arcs, and we really get to know every single person. And like even Zeb, like Zeb, there wasn't a lot known for him for a long time, and then we got like his kind of like his home planet, that he did thought that everyone was gone, but then found it out that there was still some left, and then gave him like this safe haven planet. And I'm just like, wow, what a beautiful arc to give Zeb. And then like him and who
Callus.
became Callus, like that's just really cool. But like every character has their stuff, and like Ezra became one of my favorite characters just instantly. Like Jabba the Hutt, all of his nicknames he has, I saw
Lando.
I saw someone gave him like a name tag shirt, I guess at like Comic-Con or somewhere at some convention, and he was wearing it and said all of his Ezra aliases. But it's the Bad Batch wasn't afraid to really get dark at points. Rebels just feels like it is just comfortable kind of the whole way through. They do go through some stuff, and like Kanan, losing Kanan is, oh my god, like that gets me every time. But a lot of the other things that happen in the show are just like really, really cool arcs. Like Ezra and Maul's arc with the holocrons and stuff is incredible. Ahsoka, the World Between Worlds, like we go, it goes nuts. And
Ahsoka versus Vader in season 2, and Obi-Wan killing Maul in season 3.
Oh,
and,
that fight is
like my 2 is Rebels, so I'll go with you a little bit here. I'm 5 episodes into my rewatch, 6 episodes into my rewatch, and I'm loving it. It's just a nice little reminder of how much I adore the show. And you're right. I think that the Batch certainly goes darker more often. That's for sure. I mean, off rip, the show starts with Order 66 and a batch of clones that has to try and kill one of the characters that eventually goes on to be in Rebels. So, they are different shows. They're 100% different. That's the difference for me that puts Rebels over the Batch, because I appreciate that the Batch provides that, like, even in the darkest of times, there's still hope. We can still do this. But I appreciate the levity that the Ghost crew is able to attack a lot of their stuff with. The Batch is just so intense. They're all so dark and broody and grim and serious, and I like that. I mean, that's the reason why they're 2 and 3. But like, I
they
feel
don't
like
get to
every
be as human as often.
and that's not a detriment of the show. That makes sense. That is part of the show. It makes the show really fucking good. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately it does make me like the Ghost crew's characterization a bit more, they feel like they go through a much more broad spectrum of emotion over the course of the 4 seasons versus unlocking emotions in the Bad Batch, which is also very important. That's why they're 2A, 2B. Like that's
so
I'm
like they were soldiers that are unlocking their emotions. So
exactly.
But Rebels, like one thing I can give Rebels for sure is the send off for Rebels, the ending of Rebels. It doesn't compare. Like the Bad Batch, that's kind of the only thing the ending, it was good. I'm still a little pissed we didn't get Old Wrecker and Crosshair, man. I like just having Hunter. I like the mirroring of Hunter and Omega at the beginning.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating, because I think the Bad Batch ending washes the Rebels one.
Really?
Yes, I love the Bad Batch ending. I think it rocks
Ezra
so
going
hard.
off and making the sacrifice, and like
Super
the painting
cool.
going up to the painting, like Sabine walking off to Ahsoka. Like it's just like, I mean, that ending was, I guess.
Oh, it's super awesome. Like the thing is that with, I guess where my perspective lies with that is that it feels like we did. And obviously we're talking post Ahsoka, but like it always felt like we were going to pick that up. You know, it didn't feel like it was it. Like
see.
the Batch,
It
I would not
does.
be surprised if we never see any of those characters again, which is why I like it a lot. It feels like the end of that show.
The fact they didn't show old Crosshair and Wrecker makes me believe they will return to show them at one point. Like that's why
That'd be
like,
super cool.
That's why I keep coming back to that is like it feels like if you're doing Hunter, just say Omega saying keep an eye on Crosshair and Wrecker was a nice way of being like, okay, they're still alive. Like at least like that was just a nice confirmation. But like it felt like it was a bit like here's old Hunter. Like and we had that perfect send off at the end, the picture, the wallpaper. Oh man, just them at the
shot.
tree
Lovely.
on Pabu. And that did feel good. But why only give us old Hunter and Omega, I mean, it's good, and I'm glad we got it. It made me, right when I saw it.
Yeah.
But, like, why only those two, Like, I don't know. That's just a little weird to me. It's just a little weird to me. And Omega...
I can't blame you for feeling that way.
And it is a perfect send-off for Omega. Like, perfect. That's the thing. I have Bad Batch above Rebels, and so like I'm kind of talking about it right now as if it's the other way, but it's just the ending that I'm more just pissed that the show's over, I think, and I'm trying to put it somewhere. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
be
you're
like,
going through the stages
This
of
is
grief
grief.
right
Yeah,
now.
right,
And this
with
is
denial.
this is anger.
Is this? Yeah, I've already been through the denial that it was over. It is. I've accepted it, but now I am angry at the fact that it is over. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that I have to
fuck
deal
that
with
end. Fuck the ending. It shouldn't have ended. Yes,
Yeah.
Coming off of the Mandalorian conversation
Yes.
where
A
we
show
were
that
like,
should
know when
actually
it needs
keep
to
going.
end.
No,
yeah,
this
no.
one
But
should.
that's what's great about the Bad Batch is that like they knew what story they were going to tell. They told that story, and that was it. And I feel like the Rebels had something similar going on, but there's just such a. Again, also time period is extremely important. Rebels is only a couple years before A New Hope. It feels like there is much more of a future for them because we know the Empire's collapse is imminent. The Bad Batch ends, and there's still like 18 years of the Empire.
We started Order 66. We couldn't really start at any worse spot,
Exactly.
Like,
so like it's just one of those things where like the end of the Bad Batch is it to me. It felt like that's it. That is the end of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see those characters again. But it won't be in a show about those characters the way Ahsoka has a show about those characters. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe Omega could be a main character in something eventually, but the way that Disney treated the Bad Batch, I doubt we'll ever get an Omega focused anything.
Alpha
which sucks.
and Omega could be sick if that's the water restoration to Tatooine, baby. It's Boba and Omega working together, and they unlock that freaking whatever.
Well, do you remember what the conclusion of the Book of Boba Fett was? Boba Fett basically being like, you know what, you guys run this shit. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Oh,
now.
That's right. He did just kind of peace out, didn't he?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just like that's another one of those things where I'm like, what did we make this show for then? What was the idea here? But regardless, I like a lot of stuff about that show. But no, I mean, Rebels and Bad Batch for me, Bad Batch and Rebels for you. Like, I mean, they're hand in hand. They are right there. I mean, they are two of my top 3 favorite Star Wars shows of all time, and definitely, I mean, I hesitate to tell you any animated shows I like more than those.
Yeah, I mean and I can hear discussions for both. Like like I right now do have the Batch over Rebels, but like tomorrow I could maybe be the other, like fully convinced that like, oh no, I was wrong yesterday.
And that's the thing too, is that it's a favorites thing, like when it comes to better beginning to end, I don't even know where to begin there. I don't,
Yeah.
I think
that's a tough conversation. Yeah.
I'm just going off what my heart's telling me. And I know that like when it came to like my tiebreaker, essentially, it was like, okay, who's my favorite character from each show? Hera Syndulla in Rebels, Omega in the Bad Batch. my loyalty to Hera, my longer relationship with Hera ended up winning out. Was basically how I decided.
You get Hera in the Bad Batch, young Hera and Omega, double
That's
dip.
true. That's true.
But not
you know
the
what?
Hera
Bad
but not
Batch.
the-
I'm flipping. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with it. But I love Rebels, man, and I love Kanan and Hera is probably my favorite relationship in all of Star Wars.
That's true.
They're definitely. I mean, as far as a romance,
Yeah.
there's not a single romance that comes close to being as good.
because like
as-
even
as
Han
those
and
two.
Leia is like
No, I like Han and Leia because I like each character
that's
individually.
why. It's just
you
you,
know,
want to see them together. It's like
Exactly.
It's not because of the love they have. It's but
No,
Kanan
because I mean
and-
that was clear that for 2 fucking movies it's a love triangle, and in the third movie you find out it's her fucking brother. You know, like it's like, oh, okay, well then that's an easy winner.
yeah, it's just kind of well.
And even then, the love triangle is basically all of them just kind of being like, huh. You know, like what's up.
Yeah, they don't. Nothing.
I will
really-
say, Han and Leia in Empire Strikes Back is very, very well formed. So I don't want to dismiss it altogether.
It is still
but
good. It's still good, but it's no
it's still-
Kanan and Hera.
I mean, like
though.
you get hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of them forming
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
relationship.
you gotta,
They
like-
start the show. The first thing that Hera ever says to Kanan is like, "How you doing, darling?" or "What's up, babe?" You know, like they're so mom and dad. You know, like I love it. It's wonderful. And I mean, I love Sabine. I love Ezra. I love Zeb. I grew to love Callus, which is something that you know, I feel like I don't want there to be proxies for like archetypes in every show or anything. Like I didn't want that out of the Bad Batch, but like something that I do love that we got in the Rebels was an Imperial who turned and became a you know
Rampart. We could have gotten that, but we didn't.
no.
He decided.
And
to
that's the
stay
thing
in.
is that like if they had, I'd have been like, okay, well they were really trying to go for the Callus thing, you know, like so that's one of those things where like I don't want that from it, but it's just something that does add to Rebels for having it. It doesn't take away from the Bad Batch. It
Chopper's
just adds.
also pretty dang cool, you know.
Love
God damn
Chopper.
it. What the fuck?
Love Chopper. What the fuck?
Yeah, little
Yeah.
Dave Filoni insert there. He likes to. Does he always voice Chopper every time? Is that always
Yeah,
him?
yeah, that's him. That's him.
Just incredible. But yeah, I mean, I think we both knew that this was going to be 2A, 2B, but just the order in which we had them. You were right, 4 and 1. Well, I think everyone knows what 1 is. I don't think it really needs any introduction. Everyone knew right whenever you watched it. Yeah,
And now this is a conversation I have no issue telling. It's the greatest and best and most well done show we've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, there's zero doubt about that.
Andor. We'll name drop it. We'll give it the name. If you didn't quite.
I suppose we still do audio exclusives. I showed something to the camera for those listening.
Yeah.
But
Andor, come on. I mean, is there a single season of television that really? It might be better than like what. I was about to say Westworld season 1, but that's the level I'm putting it to. I'm putting it to like the best season of television of all time.
When it's like my favorite seasons of TV ever, Andor season 1 is there. You know, like when we're talking Game of Thrones season 4, Westworld season 1, take your pick, Sopranos besides season 2.
Andor has like 3 seasons in it. Like there's every arc I could say is as good as like a whole season of television.
And that's what's awesome is that like I rewatched the first 3 episodes yesterday. That is a show comprised of 4 movies. 4 really good fucking movies. You know what I'm saying? Like
Does the first arc culminate in the eye? Is that the first arc? Or
no,
is
that's
it...
the second.
Okay.
That's the second one. That's the
it's
Aldhani
Cassian's
arc.
Origin. And,
Yeah, Cassian's
okay.
origin and leaving Ferrix while it's paralleling him leaving Kenari.
Oh.
Like, dude, fucking incredible work. And then the second arc is, you know, the Aldhani stuff, which is in and of itself brilliant work. The third arc is Narkina 5, which is again like how the fuck do you
How did they
keep
just
doing
keep
this?
getting better
like
and better. Yes, the first arc, like the bootlicker and the whole fight, there, and just everything that happened there. The first 3 episodes, we had that first arc, and we're like, we're
I
here. Like,
watched the entirety of episode 3 yesterday in chills. Just like, how the fuck do you do this? Like when they all start banging on the pipes and stuff, and then Marva does the whole, you hear that? That's what a reckoning sounds like. It's when it gets quiet is when you need to be afraid. And then like it dies out, and you watch every Imperial, not even the ones who were there listening to her, go like this.
Yeah, like
they start getting afraid, and it's like, dude, it's just so fucking perfect, and it hits on a different level at present, with a police force that's deciding it's going to wield its power in a way against people who literally just want to exist.
Yeah, and those people who are in prison, you think you're going to get out after you did serve your time for time that you didn't even deserve, but then you're recycled and just put straight back in to make
different floor.
Yeah, make weapons for just make the Death Star while you're at it. Go ahead and I'd like to. This is just one prison planet. I'm assuming, one of like when Cassian got shuttled off there. Like,
yeah, they're going to different planets.
I bet like
man.
one's prison, one's like the mining. I bet
there's like
that.
work. There's like different kinds of work camps they're sending them to.
That's the terrible part. And then he's a tourist. He's finally enjoying life. He's got some money, and he just because the way he looks, a trooper stops him and assumes that he's with the whatever guys.
Why are you running?
Whatever. Yeah.
Why are you running? I'm just running. I'm just going somewhere, Like, all right, you're under arrest. Like, dude, fuck. That's what I've been listening to, by the way, is the Andor original soundtrack. The song that's playing right now is My Name is Kino Loy, which is when he's over the intercom and he's like, there is one way out. Oh my god, dude, that fucking oh my god!
And Cassian being the one to be like, no, you have to do it. This has to come from you. And like he's like, no, you can do this. And then it's a show where you can have Andy Serkis deliver the monologue of his life. You can have freaking Stellan Skarsgård deliver a monologue. Like I wouldn't say the monologues of their careers, or anything, but like Andy Serkis put on that was unbelievable.
I would not hesitate to call them the monologues of Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, for certain. Yeah.
Isn't that wild though? Like when you're talking about, I am a movies guy. I am a movies truther. I am firmly of the mind TV can never accomplish quite what movies are capable of. I would put this top 2 with Empire Strikes Back as the best thing that's ever been created in Star Wars, more so than any of the movies. It would take a lot of deconditioning for me to tell you for sure it's the best, but it's right there.
I think I am there. Like I feel like nobody denies Empire. People say it's one of the greatest movies of all time, in which it is. It is tough to actually confirm Andor as number 1, but it's there. Like that is
that's the conversation we have about Andor. Like we're talking about well, is it better than what people pretty unanimously consider the greatest sequel film of all time?
Yeah, it's like LeBron James and Michael Jordan. It's like I don't really want to say Andor over Empire just because of the prowess and because of the standard it's set,
the status,
everything. But
Andor doesn't this doesn't exist without that.
Empire Strikes Back is 2 hours and something of runtime. Andor is how many hours?
I mean 8, 9,
the same
10
with better quality just because the technology is better, but it looks phenomenal. I mean the whole time it is just
I would I'm of the mind The Empire Strikes Back is the best looking thing that's ever come out of Star Wars.
Guess you got the matte paintings, you got the different planets, you got...
Well, and not just the matte paintings, like when it came to Irvin Kershner's direction of it and it has something that A New Hope and Return of the Jedi just do not when you're looking at them. Like every frame is so lived in and it's fucking magnificent. But that's the thing, is that Andor is like, when it comes to the television shows, there's not a single one I could even tell you, oh, maybe. Like, there are episodes photographed by one of the greatest directors of photography ever in The Mandalorian that I might say that, but across the board, I couldn't tell you that. You know, like
And I think we were heading to the theater for Fall Guy. Actually, it wasn't for Star Wars, but you made a really good point about Andor, and like the difference between Andor and like a show like Bad Batch is that the green gas that killed all those Imperial whatever
Republic,
people
actually.
Okay, on that ship in Bad Batch, I would have been all over that as like, how is, what is Hemlock working on, or what, or some, like, what is this, a poisonous gas that is going to come back in some way. But in Andor, it was simply, oh, that's just how these guys died. Like, that's just like, they're dead, and we are learning about these characters. Like, it is for the character moment that is happening right now, and that's it. And like, that's the beauty of Andor, is what's important, and like, the stakes are always there. Like, I mean, it's intense the whole time, and like, it only builds. Like, it is a constant build over time, and then a final break. It feels so good. Like, it's just like, I wanted Marvel to say "fuck the Empire" so bad, Like, I want that cut to be
that,
released.
and that's fair. Like, I'm with you, but I like fight the Empire.
Yeah,
like
it's good. It's good.
It works. Like, and I mean, like, it works. I would say it works better than fuck the Empire would have been very impactful. Fight the Empire is narratively cohesive.
Yeah,
it's like she is spurring rebellion. It's not just like, fuck the Empire. Go and do what you will about it. It's
fight
like,
the Empire.
Fuck
and fight the Empire.
Fuck and
yes.
Fight the fucking Empire. Yeah, no, I like, either way, I'll take it. But no, I loved this fucking show with all my heart. And
Marva,
Biggs,
B2,
Brasso.
Like,
dude.
Come on. Like, even Bootlicker and Narc and Deidre, they suck, but like, they play their parts perfectly. Like,
Major Partagaz and every fucking Cyril Karn's mom. Like, that's like every single character is so well formed that I'm like,
his
obvious,
yes, freaking Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma.
Oh my god,
like, that's
that
how
arc
big
of
the
her
show
having
is.
to like give her daughter away, basically, to set up the funds for the rebellion. Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, like the show it's politically impactful, it's action impactful, it's so good. Like,
we got Vel and Cinta and I'm trying to Lita. That's the one, or no, wait, that's Mon Mothma's daughter, right?
Lita? I guess.
Yeah.
Not ringing bells for me, but I'm terrible with
Lita.
names.
Trying to find Luthen's main partner in crime. I cannot remember her name. I feel like it starts with a K.
Kayla or Clea Markey.
Clea. That's Cassian's sister. By the way. That's my that's where I'm laying money down, by the way.
I like this. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, it feels like it is someone we know. Like, and it feels like they will pop back up. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be another random person that we haven't seen yet. Like, it.
And I mean, even if it is, like, that moment will be extremely impactful. It's just one of the, like, and that's the thing, is that I trust the people writing the show so much that either way, like, if it is Clea, dope. if it is someone that we will just happen upon, dope. Like they will write it in a way that is fucking good, and that's I love it. I love it. Not to mention that during the writer strike, they shut down production entirely. That wasn't something they had to do.
Damn.
Like when the writer strike is happening, productions can still happen. The writers just can't give advice. You can't improvise. You can't do anything besides what's already in the script. You can't rewrite shit. You can't do anything. So Tony Gilroy was like, solidarity, motherfucker. We'll be back in a couple months. Solidarity.
Mm-hmm. It worked.
Solidarity.
What a time for Star Wars. I mean, it was peak, and we knew it. Like while
And
watching.
that was I just kept coming back to that when I was watching it last night, like the way they all hold it down for each other. Like whenever Cassie, after he's killed the guy and he goes home and he's like, he goes up to Brasso and he's like, so last night, this is what happened. I did this, I did this, I did this, and that's what happened. And Brasso's like, okay.
Actually, I'm a little bit pissed off, but I got you, man.
And he goes, well, we went back to my place. You insulted my choice of beverage. I did not take kindly to this, and you underestimated the levels of my irritation. You got up to vocally voice your opinion more, and I shoved you, and you fell. To justify the mark on his cheek that he got from the blaster gun of the dude he killed. You know, that's like, damn. And it's just like. And everyone there, you can tell they all don't love, they don't like Cassian, but they love Cassian. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it feels like a small town, and they all ride together, and it's just such a brilliant, Ferrix was immediately one of my favorite planets of all time too. Like that design, and then the fact that it's just basically a working class, working stiff.
Yeah, and the Disney Star Wars haters to be like, bricks and nails are popping up on Ferrix, and we've lost everything because bricks and nails have entered the Star Wars universe.
Shout out Star Wars Theory,
that's when you
fucking idiot.
That's when you know, I don't know, you've reached rock bottom a little bit there. Architecture, simple architecture is making making you hate the show, and
not to mention that there have been bricks
everywhere. Like the main parade, every parade, I believe, that we see at the end of a movie where they give medals, stone and brick.
Naboo is Naboo, lined. Yavin is a giant building of giant bricks. They're not literal bricks. They're not, but they're giant blocks of rock. That's brick. It's just like, come on, bro. That's just like how stuff is built. And then. Oh, to sun that whole thing at the end by making the bricks important was like, Brasso, you fucking idiot.
Hitting hit just over the head, and then the scream he gives after,
that brick is Marva. Mm-hmm. And it's like, let's fucking
exactly what
go.
Wanted. Exactly. And there's no better show. I don't think it will ever be topped again.
No. I mean, if it can be, they are making the greatest television show of all time. If they can manage to top this season of television in Star Wars, they've made something absolutely unreal. I think The Acolyte has a high peak. I think The Acolyte, I don't want to go into it thinking it's going to be this great. I think it could be too. I think we have that potential. We went and saw The Phantom Menace. That preview looked fucking flames.
It looked awesome.
That looked fucking gorgeous. Oh my god! And
was that Trinity? I'm blanking on her real life name.
Yes, Carrie-Anne Moss.
Oh my god! Yeah. Oh my god! No, I mean it is looking good. And it seems to be more down the Andor vein than anything else, and that's.
But also, it's cool because all the shows. I know Ahsoka was kind of Obi-Wan. Never mind. I'm gonna retract everything I was gonna say. But it's just so. It feels like we are going in a unique direction, and I'm excited for that. And I think it has a high peak. I think it could be 2. It can't be 1 though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be. If it is, fuck yes. We've got the greatest season of television of all time on our hands.
But we didn't. I think we had no idea Andor was coming. Like even the trailer, like we didn't expect it to be what it was, and then we just watched it. We're like, wait, what are we getting here? We're like, what?
Did
you
I
predict
actually
it?
tweeted. I tweeted once before it started. I was like, Andor's going to be the greatest Star Wars television of all. Like, here, let me. I think I said greatest Star Wars show of all time incoming. I have it on my profile. Let's see.
That's incredible. Okay, I definitely was not in that ballpark. I mean, I was like, oh, I'll watch it. Yeah, Andor. I'm like, oh, the guy off Rogue One. Like that's literally was my whole thought process to it. And then yeah, it ended up being undoubtedly the best TV show we've ever gotten. Best, definitely post,
Yeah.
Disney era. It is the best thing that they've ever made.
The show premiered on September 21st, and I quote tweeted a trailer for it on September 14th saying best Star Wars TV show incoming.
Well, you were right. You
yeah,
were
no,
right.
I mean, the trailer was fucking flames, though. That's how I knew,
Okay.
It wasn't like I was just like, raw dog, Andor's going to be the shit, like I was, I had a basis here. No, I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal how good that show is. And I'll never grow tired of it. It's one of those. There's only a few things in this vein for me. Everything Everywhere All at Once is also in this vein for me. It's so good I don't want to rewatch it. Like I want to maintain the feeling I have for it so much that I want to watch it less. You know what I'm saying?
Imagine it grows on another watch,
No, I mean, I'm rewatching it now for the first time end to end since the show came out because it was so fucking good that I didn't want to blitz it into the ground. I didn't want to rewatch it so it dulled my senses to it. And because like I said, I watched episode 3 yesterday with chills the entire time. The whole episode, and and I compared it to Everything Everywhere All at Once because I spend I've watched Everything Everywhere All at Once 5 times in 2 years, which is still plenty, but I've cried for the last 40 minutes every time I watch that movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta preserve that a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to just watch it enough to where I stop crying. I'm curious what time it will be that I make it all the way from end to end on Everything Everywhere All at Once and I don't shed a tear.
I'd say age 48 at minimum. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I've
got twice as much life left in me before it stops.
It feels about
making
midway
me cry.
through. Maybe I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe never. Maybe it is a never situation. But I mean, Andor. I need this, in case Disney Plus ever does go away. I need it physically so I can have it just in case the world goes bye-bye and I need to just hunker down and watch Star Wars. I need it because this is required viewing. Honestly, not if you're not a Star Wars fan. This is a show that anyone can love.
Anybody.
You don't need to know a thing about Star Wars to like this. Zero.
No, literally all you need to, and even then they do such a good job of making clear what the show's about.
Yeah.
It's an imperial power. It's just so it's so fucking poignant. It is so fucking good. I adore it. But yeah, Andor easily top 1, and if they can ever top it,
I'll invite it. But
hats off to you, but there's no fucking shot.
And I'll eat my words gladly if that happens. But
100%. If there is a show better than Andor, I will accept it. This isn't like a loyalty thing. It's not like I just love this show so much. It's that objective. I don't like using this word when it comes to art. There is literally no fucking chance you could think a single other Star Wars show is better than this. It's not possible. And you could favor other things. That's always fair game.
Yeah.
But if you get brutally honest with yourself, there is not a fucking shot you think anything's better than this. I mean, And I don't. And again, I'm anti using the word objectively when talking about art.
This one's just factual.
This is just it,
yeah.
dude. Like, it is just that good.
12
And
episodes as well. Don't think that's a coincidence.
exactly.
That we have time to breathe. Some of the best shows of all time. Game of Thrones, 10-episode season. Andor, 12-episode season. Westworld, 10? Is that?
Yes, Westworld's 10.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, you need about that long, it seems. And that's they got it to work. But yeah, I mean, it was known. I think it is just known what one was going to be. But, yeah, it still felt good to glorify it because it's not just good Star Wars. It's phenomenal
good
television. Yes, it is just some of the best television we've gotten. I mean, I don't know of, like, I haven't watched Shogun. I feel like that's like a comparable, like
that was the first show since Andor that excited me.
Yeah.
In any capacity on that level that was new. Like and even then, like, Andor has the Star Wars thing, so I'm gonna be a little biased. But there's I mean, Shogun, fucking phenomenal. If like that's one that, like, even that is probably in the 2020s the best comparison for a single season of television is Andor and that. Better Call Saul season 6 is really strong too, but that's not like beginning to end one story. Like, it's
continuation.
It's the sixth
of 5
season
seasons.
of a television. Yeah, exactly. So it's a different thing. I'm talking like first season's new, exciting. Like, that's what Andor is. And it was just like, to think that they made that show at all. How lucky we are that they were like, yeah, fuck it. The guy who dies in Rogue One.
Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe, I don't know whose idea it was or who.
I mean, Diego Luna's an executive producer on it, so it's him partially. Like, he's in on it.
Thank
but
you.
Tony Gilroy, like, I think that was an example of them going, well, Rogue One was one of our more well-received things we've ever done. How about we try and get that creative back and that actor, and we see what we can do here. Because god damn, did they knock that shit out of the park.
Pull in some heavy hitters as well. They're like, we're going to pull in a Stellan Skarsgård, a Andy Serkis, Mon Mothma, as well.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
Thank you.
I mean, Forrest Whitaker coming back to play Saw Gerrera. You know, like,
that conversation, I forgot. Yeah, Luthen and Saw. Man, it is going to be damn near impossible.
I mean, and one of the things that I'm so excited for, actually, I believe it comes out this Friday on Netflix, is The Hitman. Adria Arjona, who plays Bix, is the lead actress in it.
Okay.
The lead actor is Glenn Powell. He plays the Hitman, I'm pretty sure. Directed by Richard Linklater, who did Before Sunrise and Sunset and Dazed and Confused and School of Rock and all sorts of good stuff. That's one of those ones that I, like, whenever I asked you about, like, the surprise project, and I was like, if there's one that I want to do, like, that's dropping, what do we do there? So we might cover that next Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, The Hitman. I'm excited for it. And I mean, Bix Colleen's in it, man. I love me some Adria Arjona. She's fucking awesome. And when she's getting, I don't think this is awesome, but her performance is awesome when she's getting tortured in that room, and they put the headphones on her, and are like, and she just like just breaks into a scream, like, dude, harrowing shit. Like, it is so fucking good. But yeah, so Andor, top one. Shall we go back 10-1? Would you like to run it through?
All right. Yeah, I will. I'll 10 had Tales of the Jedi and Empire, grouping those together. 9, Book of Boba Fett. 8, Ahsoka. 7, Visions. 6, The Clone Wars. 5, Obi-Wan. 4, The Mandalorian. 3, Rebels. 2, Bad Batch. And 1, Andor.
And I had 10 Tales of the Jedi / Empire, 9 The Clone Wars, 8 Visions, 7 Book of Boba Fett, 6 Ahsoka, 5 Obi-Wan Kenobi, 4 The Mandalorian, 3 The Bad Batch, 2 Rebels, and 1 Andor. And with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. We will be continuing our Star Wars coverage here in a couple weeks. We're not going to cover the Acolyte Weekly. We're not going to do that. But what we will be doing is a halftime heat check, and after the season's over, we'll go ahead and talk through it all. So we'll be checking in after episode 4, and since it has a 2-episode premiere, that's only in about 3.5 weeks, or 2.5 weeks. Yeah, 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll be back to talk the Acolyte 1 through 4, and we'll be back to talk the full season whenever it all wraps up. And I'm so very, very excited for that. We will be kicking off a new project this Friday. So very excited. It's called it's not called any, the Cinema Surprise, I think is what I've called it somewhere, where we're going to start alternating week to week. Joe picks a movie this Friday. I pick a movie the week after that. And I will not be revealing what my pick for next week is until the end of the episode this Friday. It is already confirmed, however, that Joe's this Friday will be Tron Legacy.
Yes. Yes. I'm very, very excited to finally get there, just so that I can have an outlet to talk about it, but also so that you can see it for the first time. That's going to be really, really fun. So,
yes.
Yeah, going to be
Fridays.
Fun.
That's what's going on. This Friday is Tron Legacy, and on that episode, I will announce what we are covering the next week, and I'm so very excited for that. I already have my movie picked out, and I cannot wait to reveal it to Joe, because I'm excited for him to watch it for the first time. But next Monday, we will be doing our House of the Dragon Season 2 preview. House of the Dragon's about to kick off. That's where our focus is going to be as far as television coverage, is HBO stuff mostly. We kind of decided after Mando Season 3 and The Bad Batch Season 2 that if we were going to cover Star Wars shows from now on, they would be the ones we've already started covering. So we didn't cover Ahsoka. We're not going to cover The Acolyte. Not in any full episode by episode sense. But Game of Thrones, as long as there's a Game of Thrones show, there's a Penny Bloom show. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to do it. And House of the Dragon, that'll go for the next 11 weeks, because next week is that preview. We're going to revisit Season 1, kind of talk through how we felt about it again on a rewatch, and then kind of guess where we're going in Season 2. Neither of us have read Fire and Blood. We don't know events that are coming. We don't know what's happening. That's part of the fun for us. So if you are a Game of Thrones fan, you're a House of the Dragon fan, be back for Fire and Bloom, which is officially coming back for the first time in 2 years. A year and a half, really, but close to 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Can't wait to rewatch Season 1.
Oh, I'm so
get
excited!
That under my belt.
So excited.
Yeah.
We watched all of Game of Thrones since I watched it last, so I'm excited to see how it holds up versus the show I just watched. For a year and a half, literally watched it for a year and a half. But so Fire and Bloom. We're returning next week with House of the Dragon Season 2 preview. And so Mondays and Fridays right now, and we'll slip in some Wednesdays every once in a while, like the Acolyte halftime heat check, like the Acolyte finale and stuff, and we'll see from there. But and who knows? Maybe I'm talking out my ass. Maybe we get so antsy that we just have to put something out on Wednesdays. Regardless, you'll see. And the way you'll see is you can follow us. You can follow on on Twitter at PennyBloomPod. That is the main social media outlet that I use in promoting the show and announcing stuff. And, that is the place to be if you want to keep up with the show, is Twitter. You can also follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. I actually struggle to tell you why I even still promote Instagram. I haven't posted on it in a very long time. need to just get back in the habit of just doing it. So maybe I'll start that this week. I don't know. You ought to check it out. But yeah, you can watch on YouTube. Look up Penny Bloom Podcast. I had a great array of Star Wars television stuff today. I've got The Mandalorian Season 2 vinyl, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Bo-Katan, and Mando on a Bantha. It's just out of frame here. I wish that got in there. Grief Karga. Like a Bantha. Omega and Hunter and Wrecker. I got Grogu up here, and I got Hera right next to me right here. You know, love them all. But yep, you can see that if you watch on YouTube. Beyond that, you can check out patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where if you do want weekly coverage of The Acolyte, that's something you are interested in, there's a good chance it'll be there for $1.50 a month. You can watch you can watch and listen, your choice, to us discuss The Acolyte, probably Wednesdays or Thursdays. Haven't really decided on that yet. For those listening, I'm going to be transparent. We're a month away from the actual release of this episode. We're recording on Star Wars Day, May 4th.
Felt right.
So, yeah, it felt right. I had to get this in. So, like, we haven't made official decisions on, like, The Acolyte and stuff. I'm pretty confident, especially, like, there was like a cut in the middle of this episode. We went to see The Phantom Menace in theaters, and we came back. So that's what happened there. And we saw that preview for The Acolyte. I will not be surprised if we end up talking about it every week and record it, and it goes up on Patreon. We are just not going to officially release it. Our Star Wars shows are not popular, and I understand, but I love talking about it. So patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, $1.50 a month. You can have access to that and so much more. All sorts of early access content. If you were on Patreon, you would have heard this episode closer to May 4th than the first week of June. So, there's that. But yeah, and all that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. It costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And there is one way out.